with our question in mind, because in the previous step we have chosen the easiest question and we've dissected that question word for word so we know exactly what it's asking for. We are now going to read the scenario again with that question in mind. Now, before you start reading the scenario and going through it, what I would like you to do, if you can, copy and paste the scenario into a Word document. What you want to do is get that scenario there in a Word document so that you can do things to it. You can type comments if you want to. You can insert fancy comments like this in there if you want to, type things in there. You can also highlight it. You can underline things. That would be pretty cool. So we can highlight stuff there. We can make it bold. Underline things, whatever you want to do. Yeah, all this is really useful because as we read through this scenario with our question in mind, we are going to make notes as to what the relevant things are. Now, you don't have to put it in a Word document. If you want to, you can just print it. If you've got a printer, just print off as many copies of the scenario as you have questions. So if you've got 12 questions, right, just print off 12 copies of the scenario. And then with a good old pen and paper, or maybe some highlighter pens, you can start highlighting the relevant bits. Comment on the factory's application of their permit to work system. 12 marks. Please note, you should support your answer with references to the scenario. We have dissected the question, so we know it's a comment, so we're having to express opinions here. Now, if you don't know what the word comment means, right, check out the previous step where we talk about the word comment. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube, unfortunately, you will not have access to all of our tutorials on the different command words and how to answer questions of different command words. If you want to have access to all of that, then please check out the links in the description below, because you've got our NEBOSH rescue package, you've got our NG1 IG1 exam preparation course, which has all of those tutorials as well. Please check those out. But if you are a full Compassa student, please go back to step 5, check out the video tutorial on comment. But we are expressing an opinion. On what? On the factory's application, so what they are doing, so their way of using it, so how well they've applied it. So comment on how they've used their permit to work system, not their training system, not their inspection system, not their maintenance system, it's the permit to work system specifically, and we are being asked to support our answer with references to the scenario. Okay, great. Now what we'll do here then, with this question in mind and having properly understood it, we would then read through the scenario very carefully, word for word, highlighting the relevant parts which are going to help us answer the question. So I'm going to turn on my highlighter with a little yellow pen, and I'm going to start reading through it. And so what do I say? I see the contractor has a lot of experience in this field and has worked with permit to work systems at other locations. Ah, I see. So they're experienced with permit to work systems. That's a good thing. And this is their first time at the food manufacturing site. Okay, so they might be a little bit unfamiliar with the area. And the contractor says while they were alone, adjusting some equipment, they slipped on the scaffold platform they had set up themselves. Okay, now I'm looking for things which are relevant to the permit to work system. In fact, chances are, if you're studying this now, if you're a new student, you don't know what a permit to work system is or how it's supposed to work. Right, so how do we find out what to look for? Well, we would look in our course materials. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube and you're not a Compassa student, well, unfortunately, you have another course provider and you've got your own course materials, so go look there. But if you are a Compassa student, or if you have purchased Compassa's NG1 study book, then you can check out our study book. And if you don't have it, the link is in the description below. So if you go to the table of contents in our study book, we'll find permit to work systems right here. Click on that. This is structured in a way to help you answer questions easily. So we've got fairly easy to read lists. We've got some summary kind of slides there. Got the purpose of the system and how it works. That's all the purposes of it. And actually the purposes, it kind of tells you how it's supposed to work. So you're supposed to have a handover, controls interactions, things are supposed to be communicated, like hazards risk controls are communicated. So you can see how a system's supposed to work just reading that. When it's used. So we've got all of this information on permit to work systems, the types of permits, the roles of the people involved, how the system works. There we are, we've got the job is required. We've got the visit the location. So we've got all of this great stuff. This is how a permit to work system should be used when it's done well. Right. So what does this mean? Well, it means we have to compare our scenario to what good looks like. So when it says comment on what they're doing, we are having to express an opinion Are they doing this well or that not well? This is good and that's bad. How do you know what good looks like? Well, it's in the course materials here. This is all the stuff, that's what good looks like. What is this company doing? Well, let's have a little bit of a look. So we say, the contractor mentions that before starting work, they had proper training and got specific job information from the site supervisor. That's wonderful. That's a good thing because in our course materials, it says they're supposed to receive information from the supervisor. You also ask if the work area seems safe and they say it looked fine. Looked fine? Looked fine? It's a little bit non-committal, isn't it? No, it's fine. Sounds like they didn't do a great check there. I can infer from that they haven't done a proper check of the area before starting. When you check the place where the accident happened, you find oil on the platform which came from the equipment above that the maintenance worker was oiling. Yeah, okay, so that kind of confirms that they did not properly check the area. There's oil leaking from above. You find out that the contractor's work was approved with a permit to work. Okay, so they have a permit to work system. This job was subject to a permit to work job. All right, so that's noted. You decide to look at how the permit system was handled that day. The contractor tells you about the events leading up to the accident. They got instructions. Okay, great. They got instructions. They went to the office where the PTWs are written and given out. Office? Office? Now, don't get me wrong. It's normal to have someone in charge of permit to works in an office, but they're writing and giving out the permits in an office? That's not good. No. Let's look at our course materials. Our course materials say the permit issuer will visit the location of the work. You fill out a permit to work at the site of the work, at the job location. That's not good. They're doing a desk-based permit here. That's not good. They showed a job description note to the person in charge of the PTWs. Actually, the fact that they've got someone in charge of the PTWs is actually really good. Let me put that in green. You can use different colors for things if you like. You can put green for a good comment, red for a bad comment maybe. You decide. Your exam. So we've actually got a designated person in charge, and that's good, isn't it? Because we should have in here somewhere, it'll say that we've got a designated person. It'll talk here about the permit issuer. You've got a person responsible for issuing the permits. So that's a good thing. But this is not good. The person was very busy, and the contractor heard they were handling up to 75 permits a day. Oh, that's not good at all. No, they must have sufficient time to do them properly. The person issuing the permits discussed the job's nature with the contractor. Very good. And made sure they understood the risks and the hazards. Fantastic. So that's a good thing. The job seemed low risk to the issuer. Low risk? Well, why are we doing a permit then? There we are. Activities that have high risk potential. It says so there. Usually reserved for high risk tasks that are non-routine. So it begs the question, like, why are we imposing a permit to work on this job? It's not necessary. It might explain, by the way, why the permit issuer has 75 permits to do a day. Yeah, it's because maybe 70 of them are not necessary. Better to do 5 necessary ones really well than 75 unnecessary ones really badly. So that's an issue. So they didn't physically check the work area. That's a bad thing. The permit to work forms were filled out and signed correctly. Right, so they're signed. Brilliant. So they're filled. So we have a form. That's good. We have a form. The form is filled out and it's signed correctly. All good. And we've got multiple copies. We've got 1 copy for the contractor, 1 at the job site, 1 in the office. That's all good. The permit covers the work from 9 till 5. That's fantastic. Because that's, again, it's in the course materials. We've got to have a time limit. Hey, it's all here, isn't it? You can see that there. The signing, copy display of the permit. And the time limit is just there. There we are. So all that is very good. The contractor also mentioned that the permit issuer discussed safety measures, like isolating equipment before starting and wearing head protection while working. So they've discussed the measures needed before and during the work. And actually that's relevant to our course materials again, because it talks here about the controls that are needed before and during. But the downside is that the permit issuer did not ensure those controls were in place before or during. So they haven't checked before signing off the permit. So if you zoom out a little bit, you've got a ton of stuff that's been highlighted there on your scenario. And we're going to use all of this when writing out the answer plan in the next section. This is not your answer, by the way. You cannot just copy and paste these highlighted bits and dump it on your paper and expect to get marks. But this is research that you've carried out, which is going to help you answer the questions. We're going to use the P principle. This is evidence. Evidence. P stands for point, evidence, explanation. These are either points or they are evidence, and we're going to use them in a moment. And it's worth noting that we have 12 marks on this question. 12 marks. How many things did we highlight it? Oh, I don't know. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I don't know, there's 18 or 19 things that I've highlighted there, maybe 20. So I've got more than enough things to talk about in order to get the full 12 marks. And believe me, I want to get all of those 12 marks. Why? Because there's another question later on which is super hard and I am not going to get full marks on that one. So I want to maximize the number of marks I get on the easy questions, like this one. Anyway, that is step 6 of the 12-step master plan to passing your NEBOSH General Certificate exam. And I'll see you in step 7, where we are going to start to write an answer plan.